and welcome back to another edition of City Make Spence. It is Thursday, February 27th, the year of our Lord 2025. A little bit of a later one, but not as gonna long as the last one, because probably for Adam's computer being incredibly happy about this upcoming file size. City Make Spence time. Speaking of Adam, how are you today? Burning the midnight oil with once again the increasing amount of production.
I'm still my subscription to Words About Shapes didn't go through, so I'm trying to do it again.
Oh, good Lord. I think the one thing that's frustrating about Patreon is you can't nominate people for free. You can't do scholarships. I can't say, okay, this person, I want them to be able to read it. You can't.
Yeah.
Sarah subscribes to it. Now, I mean, I'm just taking $3 and put it in my other pocket, but but Sarah has pays $3.
It's just $3. We can spare the $3, Sean. Yeah, here's my code. Okay, here's my login code.
There we go. So while Adam's doing,
I've got tech support on. I've got the proprietor of Words About Shapes on the other line right now. So I guess if I have any problems, I can get right to the source. So go ahead, Garret.
So we'll continue on for that. Otherwise, the proprietor about Words About Shapes, the proprietor and the namesake of City Make Spence. Wait,
one quick thing though too, just a quick disclaimer. I didn't unsubscribe from Words About Shapes. I got it in my last card expired and I forgot to renew it. So I am doing that right now.
Yeah, cut to a flashback of me angrily, confronting Adam. Unsubscribe, motherfucker.
It's Sean sitting there in a dark room, turning on his light on. And
which you'll see when Sean finally gets that webcam eventually at some point, which will be, if you all want to, we might set a GoFundMe for a webcam for Sean in that Q2.
Have either of you ever played Disco Elysium?
No.
Okay, one of the greatest computer games ever made. Okay, really like a piece of art, fantastic. Which was stolen from the artist by venture capital type dudes. But the in the game, you're this cop, and there's a point where you can choose to look at yourself in the mirror or not, and you briefly have a conversation with yourself about the fact that you'll never go back to not knowing what you look like, and it would be better if you didn't do it, and then you wipe it off, and you're pretty horrifying looking, and that is pretty much what I expect when the webcam rolls out. It's for people to go, oh God, I just wish I hadn't wiped the mirror. So that's what I'm preparing for.
Apart from that mirror concerns, you doing all right today, bud?
I am physically tired because I made an absolute shed load of pizzas at Domino's today. Well, okay, so Domino's always runs promotions. They're a big corporation. They're constantly trying things, and occasionally one pops off. And this is the $10, any size, any topping thing is going off. And so it means I'm not only making a lot of pizzas, but I'm making a lot of pizzas that are extra sauce, extra cheese, extra pepperoni, extra bacon, extra sausage, extra beef, extra every fucking thing. These are 5-pound pizzas, which take minutes to assemble. Good Lord. So it ends on Sunday. Live your best life, folks. I'm off until it's over. So, at this point, it's done the damage it can do to me. So enjoy the promotion for the next 3 days, y'all.
Sean had the thing getting wrecked in the pizza mines. I had the 500-person open house for work today, which thankfully I was just in a greeter role, but it got cold this evening. Hence the turtleneck, because gotta look a little more fancy on this shit. And also fancy and also cool as shit is our main topic point tonight. This is a women's centric episode of City Make Spence. We will talk about the men next Monday. This coming Monday is when we're gathering again, ahead of the USL Championship. the big whatever the big fucking preview, whatever we're gonna call it. But for today, for the sake of not going until midnight, we are going to be here and just talk about the women, the weekend that was, and the weekend that's going to be in MASL W, because we can say it: 2 more matches done for Detroit City, 7-0. History was made on multiple levels. First off, the ladies boarded a plane. First time Detroit City women's side, indoor or outdoors, boarded a plane for a match. Went to Iowa, Des Moines, I believe, to be exact, for a Saturday and Sunday tilt with the Iowa Demon Hawks. That's probably the loudest I've gone on that one. Saturday was a hockey type arena, if I recall right, a men's doubleheader for the Demon Hawks, the first home women's match for them. Fine stream quality on YouTube. Sean and I were talking about that, and a brilliantly fine match for Detroit City FC, who won 12-3.
Yep.
Sunday, not in that venue, I believe in a fieldhouse type facility,
right.
And not on YouTube, on the Demon Hawks Facebook page. That poor guy learning how to do a Facebook Live video.
How to do a horizontal video from comments and the thing. Okay, you've got portrait lock on. You need to turn that off. Okay, there.
I stopped watching and I turned it back on in the second half. But apparently, this is where we'll talk about the outlier that's happened with the side. Detroit City FC playing the first time consecutive match days and the flight. 1-0 down at half. However, they woke up in the third quarter, wound up winning 5-2. So two different experiences. 2 wins though, 7-0. Sean, I'm going to start with you. What was your takeaways? If you want to talk your thoughts on Saturday and Sunday, or if you want to talk about the weekend as a whole.
Well, I mean, a couple things right off the top of my head. We learned, I think this week, that venue will be the site of the national championships or the playoffs for the MASL W. So I think it was incredibly valuable to get 2 matches in. In their venues. The other thing is that it's incredibly valuable to get 2 matches in a brief period, because that's just not something. I mean, this has been a real soccer schedule where you just basically will play once a week. It's great. This is more like the kind of shenanigans we're used to in like indoor leagues, where it's like you're gonna play like Friday night, Sunday morning or something. This was Saturday night, and then Saturday afternoon ish. Or Sunday afternoon-ish. And, it was, I think it really, I think everyone learned a lot. I'm sure the staff learned a lot, although it was very limited staff that traveled. And I'm sure the players, I mean, this is a very player-centric team, right? The players, the players started the team and have a lot to say about the way they play. And, I think they all learned quite a bit about, how to play together when their physical dominance is blunted by fatigue. And that's
right.
Pretty much like, it just kind of, they were obviously very tired when the match began. It was kind of like, oh man, like everyone, you could see the way they were moving, like they're stiff and sore and just like, ugh. And, like, I don't know how many people listening to me have played like, in soccer leagues in the winter, but if you have had this experience where you got a match at 9 a.m. or whatever, and you're kind of hungover, and you're like, it's like, it doesn't feel as joyous as it might. And so we were playing slowly, and it really the physical domination and I mean, we dominated them in every way on Saturday night. We came out, it was really Harlem Globetrotters and Washington Generals stuff. Like, we were physically, tactically, we were way ahead of them in thought. We just played faster. Anytime we wanted to, we could play faster than they could think and create chances. And, I think once we realized that, we really had a good time with that team in our jaws. And I think that maybe what they realized is that in the playoffs, if they get a commanding lead, they're probably gonna chill a little bit more and let the clock run and try to, because they showed they could do that in the second match when they were very tired. They weren't really any sharper physically in the second half. I don't think anything was there. I think they were just sort of leg dead. But they were incredibly determined, clearly, and found ways to create chances and kind of screwed their focus down until they had control of the match, and then they killed it off. Really, we have a lot more defensive stability, I think, than other teams have in the league, because our goalkeeper is kind of great, and we have a few players who are technical and can do forward stuff, but who mentally are defenders. Fatima is mentally at this point is playing defender, although she's been an attacker, I think, her whole life, and she looks like an attacker on the ball. She, constantly is like, she loves to go past people, right? And it's a little nerve-wracking when your defender is like inviting a tackle on so she can dance past somebody, because you're like, oh, you're used to like defenders playing safe, but she's good and she gets away with it because she's really good. The team is incredibly impressive, and that was mostly what I wrote about in today's piece about the women's weekend. We've talked about some of these players before, but I think I'm just going to kind of go again. Kayla Addison is obviously the person that is going to draw everyone's eye. The player that looks like, oh shit, like they're serious. Holy God. I mean, she's very tall. She's got a few miles on the wheels, but she's still very quick. And she's gotten really good at pressing in the indoor game. Like, she creates chances for herself just by winning the ball next to goal and scoring. Like, she'll get a shot, a woman, instead of taking the first touch, like if they try to hold the ball at all, if they try to settle and take a second touch, she will just take it from them. And she's gotten to be a better finisher, as over the several years that we've seen her play. I think that honestly, she probably, she hadn't played for a while, and we're watching her kind of get back into her real form, because she was like a record holder in college.
Spence, one quick thing. She kind of reminds me, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before to you, but she kind of reminds me of a more skillful Yazid in a way.
Mm.
Like,
yeah, I think, I mean, kind of. Although she's not as gleefully physical as Yazid is. Yazid's is the kind of guy who, like, if you ran into each other and you somehow knocked him down, he would just be laughing so hard. He'd be like, that was great. I don't think Kayla's quite that hungry for contact. But she is, and like, I don't want to, like, she's smart and reasonably technical. So I don't want to go all power and pace on her, but I mean, she does have a lot of power and pace. And that, that is suasive in any sport.
And that's kind of like how I was getting at, because I remember, like, well, especially when Yazid was, and I don't want to get too much on the men here, but like Yazid, when we were playing in PSL and Nisa and everything like that, he was able to use his size more so to his advantage and just kind of like power his way into the box. And because I remember that Gold Star Open Cup game specifically, when he just kind of, imposed his will on lesser defenders,
right,
and was able to get that initial tally for City. And that's kind of like how Kayla reminds me in some sense, how she's not gleefully physical, but she can kind of impose that physicality and use her skill to
and this is where I think the Kayla thing too, because one thing I was going to want to get to you on, Sean, especially, we were playing on a more regulation size indoor soccer field in regulation size goals, i.e. goals being
the
bigger.
goal that was I'm sorry, go ahead. go back to that.
But Kayla's got this with maybe not power for her technical ability in that. There's also a directness that Kayla has. So when you're on that much of a broader size field, we were able to spread out a bit more, especially with, I feel like Fatima, because she's a midfielder, naturally trained midfielder, attacking player, becoming more of a defender. She's very comfortable with hanging on to the ball in a deep position, inviting the press from Iowa in the stage, and then spreading it out. You also, and that allowed, like, whether it was Claire Trulino, whether it was Shannon McCarthy, whether it was Annika Dow. Let me know if I'm forgetting any other, Sean, and the Saturday in particular, and Kayla, that were just able
Tatiana.
to, like, Tatiana Mason. Yeah, it was just like that was full size and spreading out. Like, that's where Kayla's style comes in well. And also even Maya Romeo, because also I feel bad for the ref on Saturday that got trucked by Maya Romeo. Holy shit.
I kind of exclaimed when it happened. I was like, "Oh!" And Sarah was like, "Jesus!" You know, like I like, sorry, May just ran over this dude.
Maya was fine. The ref fucking felt like he got hit by a train.
Yeah, he went down and she just kind of like stepped back into defensive position, like, sorry, man. That was, I mean, like, if you didn't watch Saturday's match, it was glorious. And I think it was exactly what the Demon Hawks kind of feared from us. Like, they were like, okay, this is the undefeated team. We're going to get out there and we're going to be competitive. And they were really working super hard and making it hard to play, but it didn't fucking matter. Like, our quality was just like, we did everything to them. We countered them. We spread them out. We slowed it down. We scored bangers from distance because the goal looks huge compared to the goals we're used to. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. And they're deep, which means people won't get hurt, and they're not like a hockey board.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that the longer we play with our current goals, the more we kind of realize, like, God, we really need to
Someone's gonna get hurt.
Change that. Like, hey, you're selling $5,000 in tickets every match. It's time to think about replacing those goals, guys.
If you're not going to replace the turf, replace the goals, guys.
I mean, the turf was crazy bad there. Like, it was held together with duct tape. It was all duct tape.
Like, okay, so that was actually tape on that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to shout out the this was simulcast on YouTube Saturday State on there. The Iowa Demon Hawks YouTube, as well as the Iowa Champions League Network. That was the Saturday because it was a men's doubleheader. The Demon Hawks men won like 29-2 or whatever the fuck it was.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they played like a team from Wisconsin, but their commentary team I thought was really cool. It was really good to see a presentation like that. But it was funny because the one color commentator is like, yeah, I talked to a few of the Detroit City women before the game, and they had talked about what they wanted to do was get up to double digits. Well, we
yeah. That guy
sounds like he remind me of Alejandro Moreno.
Yeah, like his voice does, yeah. And the thing that he was really interesting. The way he would call, like when Gabby would make a good play, he'd go, goalkeeper.
Sarah in the background.
Yeah, he was great, and he was really on the Addy like love fest. He was just like, I said that it seemed like he was always 8 seconds away from throwing roses at her feet, like. He had
Iowa player McMahon.
yeah, and it was a good presentation, and I really I respect what they're doing, and it's their women's first year, so I expect them to be more competitive in the future. We just went to Iowa and did a recruiting like video for them essentially, so I think that will help. And I think that for us showing for Detroit City showing the matches on YouTube was a really great way to solidify the sort of reality and existence of this thing and get people kind of like YouTube is ubiquitous and global and free, So it's extremely democratic in terms of being available to folks. And, you know, that's great. You know, it's less great what Alphabet does, but what are we going to do?
Adam, what do you have anything you wanted to add to it? I know you were kind of a little more busy on there and didn't catch all of everything Saturday and Sunday, but I didn't know if you had any bits.
I got more player talk. I'm not done talking about players. Like,
oh shit.
Okay, so like we just talked about Addie. You know, I kind of go over the things I said in the piece. Shannon McCarthy. I think we're finally seeing her at like the real Shannon McCarthy. She plays just the same way. Like she's kind of like she loves to talk about somebody who loves contact. Like she's the most Yazid like in the team to me, because she just loves like smashing into people. And she's also like, you know, I think that we'd seen her kind of the slower version of herself so long that I kind of assumed that was just how fast she was now. But it is true that a lot of times your pace takes like a year or two to come back after a big knee injury. And she looks so much quicker now. Like, kind of terrifying as a defender. You know, she's running around you both directions. Like you're trying to change position or trying to switch yourself, and she beats you to the point. Like, oh, okay, well, I'll go the other way, and she beats you to the other point. Like, you know, she's great.
A lot more attacking, and especially indoor shows her really attacking side, because before and the knee injury might have had something to do with it in a few years ago. We had only really known her from just a mainly defensive standpoint, to now see what she does on the attacking end and scoring bangers occasionally.
Like the movements in this version of indoor soccer really remind me of basketball a lot of the time. And you know, Shannon moves like a three. You know, she goes down into the wing and comes back to the top and moves down the other wing, and you know, I don't know, she looks good doing it. So
beat you mid range.
I'm gonna move on because there's so many. Hannah Crum. I talked about her being a junkyard dog. She's also like, you know, she's left-footed and has that ability to kind of conjure something. She has the wand of a left foot, right? Just a player that kind of seems to always raise the level of the team when she comes on. Like, you know, really consistently puts in good shifts. Claire Chirlino is like two-footed and super clever and
physical.
Well, she like I think she's, you know, positionally in the outdoor game she's a fullback. So she's got a lot more freedom in this, kind of like Shannon, where she's got more freedom to try things and get forward and, like, you know, but she still has that grounding in the technical, you know, aspects of defending. Like she knows how to find her angle, you know, she anticipates the ball well. I don't have notes in front of me, so I'm kind of like extemporizing. Tatiana Mason, of course, I talk about her a lot because she's the kind of player I like. She's becoming even more of a kind of player. She's, you know, doing the thing attacking midfielders do when they age up a little bit and slow down a little bit, which is drift back and go be center midfielders or deep lying playmakers. And, you know, the good news is that her game was already pretty well set up for that. She picks a through ball well. And, you know, she is one of the better shooters from that kind of mid range that you see a lot in indoor on the team. You know, she can hit a nice kick in the run, she can get a shot on goal in the run of play from, you know, 15 yards pretty reliably. And that's super valuable because when you've got Kayla on the team, the tendency is very much for them to crowd the paint against her. She goes down into the hole and like three people kind of like sink toward her, and there's a lot of space, and that's why we've been scoring all these mid-range goals. So anyway, the final thing that I want to say is that really I do think for the women, that the turning the game around in the second half when they were really flat emotionally and physically,
Sunday
is yes, on Sunday is going to resonate with the team. I think it's a big lesson to learn, and I think that the women who are involved in that are going to be crucial to any playoff hopes we have, because they're going to be, moments or stretches during games against very good teams where we're going to have to suffer and struggle and find a way, and that's not something this team's had to do a lot of. I mean, right. We really have just kind of stomped everyone as they've stood up in front of us. So yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, and I'll highlight too. I think I talked about Anna Cadell, somewhat new find. That's been she seems to score goals in bursts. I think, which is pretty cool. Megan Miles.
I haven't seen enough of her game to kind of get a handle on it. Like, she's a little slippery, but like that's a good. She's
thing. She's a late run too, like Tatiana Mason. Like that edge of like that midfielder that comes in at the very end on the edge of box run.
Exactly. That's like you think the play has fully developed, and then another run, like a run that comes in that just sort of pulls it all apart. It's like, oh, yeah.
That's the thing with that. And then Megan Miles, who always seems to just come in off the bench and just play. It's the thing is, she does the quiet things so well that you almost don't realize what she's doing on the field.
And I worry, as I thought of this, that it's going to be perceived as like a slight. But to me, Megan is kind of like the Chicago party ant of the group. Like she's no nonsense, but a very positive, affirming version of no nonsense, right? Mm-hmm. Like she's like just great to be around, but not like foofy about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like it seems like maybe the best hang. and
you need something like that in every squad.
She's just a leader, She's really, I mean, she's a coach, so we literally have a coach on the field when she checks in, and yeah, it looks like it. She comes in and restores order sometimes. Like, all right.
And then obviously we talked, and then Roma Fatima Nasser just being powers and defensive. Also getting those blue card numbers that we've had up. Holy hell! All right, Adam, your final thought, and then we can transition to this weekend.
I really don't have too much to add. Just a couple of things. It was refreshing to see another team in this league take a broadcast seriously, and I think that's, I mean, stuff like that is incredibly important. I mean, for the overall growth of the league itself. If you don't have teams, in there that are, going to take something like that seriously, then you're probably not going to end up, having a league.
Right. The important, like, the frustrating thing is that I think a lot of teams think taking it seriously means being serious. Yeah. And it's like that's not really what we mean. That was taken seriously, but it was also incredibly lighthearted. And warm and inviting. It was like, at no point was I like, these motherfuckers as I'm listening to this, which I tend to do. When I'm listening to the away call, I tend to be like, what the fuck? Come on. I do a lot of complaining at the TV. And there wasn't any of that. Like they called it as a kind of interesting spectacle. Now, we come back next year and we're both undefeated and we're playing at their place. I expect the tone to be slightly different, right? Like, we were kind of barnstorming in there. But it was, I really enjoyed the broadcast, and I was not expecting to. I was kind of tuning in like, oh, here we go, one step above twatching.
Like, you do have that. You are seeing a standard set by Detroit City and Iowa when it comes to Okay, well, if we're going to be a team in this league, then we have something to strive to, and you're not, you're not looking to, uh, Great Lakes or whatever the hell that team was called, who was, in PSL last year but dropped out before a game was played this year. I mean, you need actual standard barriers to.
You mean
To
West
look
Shore
at.
Ambition that had a lack of?
Yeah. That's what it was. But
or maybe a survey of ambition. Like,
yeah,
they didn't have
exactly.
any
That's what you need.
players or stadia, but
Or
ambition. They had that.
or you
New
have,
Year's had to record on New Year's Day because of that.
players. You had Waza looking for players, right before the match starts. And but again,
shout out Dominic from Waza. We're on the 1-year anniversary of that special interview with Dominic, by the way.
Second, I mean, City did show that they are human in some sense. I mean, yeah, if you're playing back-to-back games on the road, it's going to affect you. Yeah, after flying. And I guess that is their kryptonite in a sense. But that was it. They still ended up winning that game. They still, seemingly threw on a switch in some sense, and that was it. They're flying back home, still undefeated in in their division. So
that's the other thing is that since Iowa's hosting, they're not going to make the playoffs, so nobody's going to have a home field advantage. Everyone's going to be feeling like shit.
So the division, which you brought it up real quick, is so it's March 28th to March 30th. So this is the article that I was getting from. It was something in Iowa, either Iowa City or whatever it is, about the Demon Hawks. The tournament's March 28th to March 30th. It is the 4 division winners of MASL W plus the 2 best second place teams. So
Iowa might make it, I guess.
Oh God. Well, are they? Yeah. Well, because the great other division that's like Cincy and Louisville, there's not really a great second place team in there. We know Chihuahua Savage is going to be in there. I mean, that's a given. So on there. So I mean, but yeah,
probably the team that beat them. Like that team that beat them, I think, is pretty good, and more defensive. Like they've got most of the defensive leads in the league right now. So interesting.
So obviously, we're a couple weeks away from that, and obviously, once we know more about that stuff, we'll fill everybody in. But so 7-0, we've played the Demon Hawks. We played the Demon Hawks in Iowa twice. Now it's the Demon Hawks' turn to experience Detroit City at the Field House this coming Saturday, March 1st, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The regular season home finale at Detroit City Field House. It is also combined with a Hallmark event, a yearly Hallmark event at Detroit City Clubhouse, the Northern Guard supporters annual Kill the Keg event. Talk about a daily double. Holy fuck.
So it's going to be a rollicking, boozy group watching on Saturday evening. Good time guaranteed is what I'm saying. Even if you're sober, there's going to be plenty of people that aren't. And yeah, it should be fun. Sorry.
I was going to say real quick, speaking of people that might not be sober, our buddy who will be there, to a friend of all of us, Nicholas Puckbuyer, happy birthday today. Whoever is listening to this that's serving him beer, make sure you serve him water that day. Thank you. That's it. Back to you, Spence.
I'm picturing every bartender putting up a beer and a water for Puck all day. And he's just like, Jesus Christ! Garrett's been everywhere. No matter where I go, Garrett spread the word. He needs to hydrate, okay?
Puck drunk is an epidemic. Those that experience it, no one can go back from.
The other thing that I wrote about today, I was writing about the players, but I wrote about the captain of the team, Gabby, who was Gabby Galruder when she was at Michigan State, but is now Gabby Schriver. She is married to Joshua Schriver, who is a Michigan House of Representatives. He's a representative in the Michigan House. And I had to edit that sentence. And he is he is one of those right-wing trolling gadfly people. He's ambitious, I suppose, and the way he is playing out his ambition is speaking in public about his desire to erase trans and queer people from public spaces altogether, to make life for them a matter of masking or impossibility. And we've been there before. Like, we have tried this before, tried it over and over again. And that's what I would say to anybody right now who's like, well, I don't know anybody queer. And I think it's weird that guys become dudes or whatever. Dudes become women. I think that's weird. Okay. All right. You know what? There's probably a lot of things in the world that you think are weird that really aren't that weird. And this is just one of them. And it's all right to feel the way you feel, but like, it's not all right to deny people the ability to live their lives in safety and freedom. And it's, we are in a moment where all of the treasure of 100 or so years of empire is being looted by a very small group of people. And those people are using hate, essentially, to distract from what's really going on, which is the takeover of the United States government by an international criminal enterprise, of which Donald Trump is a nexus, and the Kremlin is a nexus, and Saudi Arabia. That's what's really happening right now. All of this other stuff, it is difficult for me as a person. Like, I grew up in the church, right? And I think I've put enough hours in me talking about shit out here to just say, like, okay, we kind of stipulate that I'm probably going to like really think over everything I'm told, right? That's that's obviously the kind of person I am. And it was made clear to me from a very early age that was just not a way you could be and be in the church. Now, I guess I'm lucky I didn't come across some Jesuits at the right time, right? Like, because I'd probably be in a fucking monastery right now. Yeah, I grew up in a very insular, middle American, slightly evangelical milieu, and had contact with a lot of kookier shit, right? Like, homeschooled people who believe that taxes are, the worst crime that's ever been committed, and all that. Like, I grew up with that. So I recognize the milieu that Josh and Gabby are operating out of, right? And it is not one that empowers women to do anything. So, in my view, the fact that she has sort of just gone on hiatus on social media in terms of, like, she does not support her husband in little moments or do the pity me posts that you would expect from a political wife in this situation. Can't they see that my husband just wants a better future for our children or whatever? When people are like, Josh Schriver's a piece of shit, fuck this motherfucker, like, there's none of that. And you would expect there to be, if you've come in from that culture, you would kind of expect that she would go into the public space and say, as a meek helpmeet, she would be like, my husband is nothing but a gentleman, or whatever the fuck. She has not done that. Okay. So to me, that is, that's in Gabby's favor. But I think that, the idea that Gabby needs to answer for the things her husband has said in public, is a kind of an encapsulation of exactly the wrong thing to do in this moment.
Right.
Now, I understand that if you have one Nazi in your bar, you're a Nazi bar, okay? And I'm sure that is probably what a lot of the people who are coming at me, for saying, look, I just think this is not something you can adjudicate, are, upset, are envisioning when they come up with a criticism. That idea that, and then they bring a friend. But what I see is Gabby is beloved of her teammates, is a founder of this team. She wears a rainbow armband every match because she's the fucking captain. And she has queer teammates that seem to love her. Now, I understand that also gets into the she has gay friends, okay? But what I'm saying is that I could not support a club that called a player into the workplace, because that's what this is, right? Like, she's an amateur, but I think they're probably getting paid to play in the indoor game, and she's entwined with this club. She is part of this club. She's part of the history of this club at this point. And so if you're going to exclude her, it needs to be for something she did. And I understand that it really sucks that her husband sucks. But unless or until she openly supports him in those political machinations, I think we sort of must forbear. It's Pandora's box. It's the kind of thing that we watch the Trump administration do and say, what the fuck? How can you even fucking think about doing that? Right? But we propose to do it ourselves. Look, this is not going to be solved by tit for tat, right? It's not going to be oh yeah, well, we're going to create even cleaner spaces. Okay, you're going to become the criticism the criticism that was always bullshit about you. You're going to become it. And going to become the elitist, exclusionary, the left has to learn how to invite people in. And this is not the way. And the other thing is, let's do a game theory thing here. Let's imagine there's two possible states for Gabby right now. She's either supportive but silent, or she's not supportive and therefore silent, right? Sean Mann calls her into the office and asks her to explain her feelings about some of Josh's tweets. Let's imagine the first scenario is right. She's silent, but she is supportive. I think at that point, she is going to have to put her cards on the table, right? Okay, so successfully, you flushed her out. I don't know what that says about you, but she would probably leave at that point, right? The other scenario, she probably backs her husband up just because she's being given a very stark choice between the man she married and the club she's played goalkeeper for a couple of years. And you would have to question the sanity of someone who chose the goalkeeper role, right? So in that case, you've driven off a potential ally and someone who can speak very deeply to the kind of patterning that happens to people in those churches, and can you don't win if you stop trying to win people over. And that's what I think. Okay, if Gabby gives us some reason to separate from her, okay, that's a different thing. But what I'm saying is, in the absence of anything that she has said, or she has even made a gesture of support towards, it's just an asinine idea that would have massive blowback. And but I did say that I think that it would be likely that there would be a hilariously ham-fisted conservative documentary about it. So that's maybe one reason to try it, because that would be really funny. Like, you know, brave Gabby and her holy warrior husband, and like, oh my God, the evil Sean Man, like, you know, yeah, like that would be fantastic. That I guess I just wanted to kind of talk about this because I wrote about it, and I don't know if everybody understands that that's a thing. But we have been a leftist club, but we are a group, I would say, that the NGS has been, pretty devoutly leftist, and yet we meekly allowed the conversation around the Palestinian flag to go the wrong way. We didn't Sean was kind of on his own there. And I do not think that purity tests are a way to solve anything. So, and I will admit that I am a person who has consistently been far too naive about what is possible in the public space. And, we have to, I'm trying to be less so, I'm trying to have my impact be my intent, and not, constantly say, oh, what I intended was, so to that end, like, this is anathema. This is not a thing we can do.
Right. Adam, you want to add anything on this? Because I feel like around this time last year was one of the earlier instances. We had an instance where you and I have talked about this. I think on our initials Detroit City Sportscast reboot, we've talked about this on Tunnel Talk before. We've talked, this is just when we feel like we're done talking about something like this, it seems like it's a new quarterly topic. Same topic, different situation.
Yeah, it sucks that we have to keep on talking about this. And I don't mean to be an echo chamber with all of this, but we've had this come up multiple times before. And I want to say one of the first times this came up was around the time that Josh was actually using the club
December of 2023.
Yes, to promote his hate filled ideologies, and it was very brief. He used Gabby, I think, to talk about how women's sports, and you trying to use that line that we need to protect women, we need to protect women's sports, transgender men are invading women's sports and pretending to be women and blah blah
really?
Blah.
Okay,
blah,
so
blah.
I didn't know that. Like,
yeah, just
that to me is almost enough. Like,
yeah, utter just complete utter nonsense. And Gabby never said anything about it. I mean, he was just using images and sort of saying, oh, I'm really proud of her, and
which he
we need
deleted after the club's statement.
Yeah,
out of the blue.
Yes,
yeah.
And the club.
So there was a come to Jesus meeting at some point there.
There was, to my understanding, because I did have my own conversations with people at the club, and it seems like there was a conversation before about this. I'm not saying it did happen for sure, it or it didn't happen, but it seems like that's what happened here. And you never, I mean, and from that time on out, you never heard Josh Schriver, invoke the club or use the club in any of his in any of his driveling bullshit that he likes to peddle. Not to say that anything he's saying is okay or anything like that. It's absolutely not okay. But that would lead me to believe that something happened right there at that point in time where parties got together and kind of laid out some maybe ground rules on how things were going to go forward. And I'm not saying they specifically talked to, Josh and Gabby in a room, but perhaps they brought Gabby in at that point and were like, you know what, this is how we're going to go about things.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that very well could have been the case. I don't know for sure, but it very well could have been the case.
The thing for me with Josh is that, he is hoping for the Trump administration to tap him for something, right? Because
Sure,
he has been completely deleveraged as a member of the House of Representatives in Michigan. After the Great Replacement stuff, he got censured and sanctioned. He doesn't have an office. He doesn't have an office budget. He doesn't have staff. Like he's kind of a representative from home. Like COVID never ended for Josh. He just stays home. And tweets and shit. I generally have contempt for very ambitious people, and for very ambitious people who like choose the dark side. Like, I just can't. Like, I just can't. I do not want to talk to you, think about you, look you in the face. Fuck this. And that that's. Josh Schriver just gives me that vibe. That's just kind of like massive personal ick, or I'm just like, I would probably be incredibly rude to him in person, just like, snub him, just like, no, just because I find like his affect frustrating, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and the thing is too is like, I get the outrage. I do. I think that Josh is a repulsive, awful human being. And it's unfortunate that he represents a group of people here in the state all of us live in. It sucks to have a guy in a position of power like that. The thing is, though, is if the club was to embark on some of these solutions that it seems like some of the supporters want them to do, because Sean, you mentioned it. I can't remember if you mentioned it in your written piece or if you're mentioning it in a response. But I think you're kind of asking the question of, well, what do you expect the team to do? Do you expect them to bring in Gabby into Sean Mann or Alex Wright's office, with a printed out sheet of tweets and have her, comment on each one just to make sure that they are, adhering and making sure that her responses are adhering to, these standards and benchmarks that the club has?
Right.
Because
I did, yeah. Because I just don't like. I think you need to think through what you're physically asking to happen here.
Exactly,
it's of a similar fantasy as a lot of the Trump administration stuff. We're going to round up 20 million people. Like, okay, how the fuck are you going to do that? Like, you're not going to do that, dude. And like, okay, so this is like one of those fantasy things. Like, they need a color on the carpet. Like, how does that fucking work?
Yeah,
this is a workplace thing.
Absolutely, 100%.
I understand that workplace shit is being demolished left and right, but if you think they wouldn't pick this out of the pile and use it like put on a massive extra large dildo to fuck us with, like, you are wrong.
Well, that's exactly what Josh Schriver wants too. And Sean, you're in. I'm sure you know more about this than I do, and I know we have certain friends that were potentially involved in a hiring process at their own jobs, but I can only imagine what type of, and I know Michigan is a right to work state and all of that, but I can only imagine the litigation that this potentially, especially when you're dealing with somebody who is a state representative, what type of litigation this may open the club up to.
I mean,
if you were to dismiss Gabby because of something that her spouse has said.
Think about how ridiculously like small time a lot of the tsunamis whipped up by the right are originally. They have to go through 3, 4, 5 hands to get to somebody who's like, wow, okay, we can really do something with this. This is the wife of a Michigan State representative. Like they are one phone call away from doing all of that. And I guarantee they have a plan in place for doing it. Like, so yes, we are frozen by the state of the play on the board. Like,
yep.
if you want to help us correct the problems caused by massive, unrelenting propaganda for years and years and years that has distorted the thoughts and the perceptions of the population, okay, let's have that conversation. Until then, if we're going to have votes, then the people who win the votes get to fucking run shit and get to do things, and that they have a lot more power than they did a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So, like. Yeah. Welcome to the real fucking world here. I know it sucks that rights are being taken away from everybody, and we are here to stand with you, but standing with you doesn't mean like chopping up someone who's just arguably maybe on the other side. Like what?
Yeah.
Like, I understand that at some level it's very easy to say I have no skin in this game because I am not queer. I'm an old white dude, right? Cis white dude. You know, I talk a lot in public, right? What I think about things is fairly public, so that worries me a bit because you know I don't think Pol Pot scenarios are out of the question here. You're going to keep needing to fuel that furnace of resentment and repression to keep the whole thing running, and those things you get numb to them. So there'll be more and more dramatic stuff. Yeah, we're on a really dark glide plane, sure. And I think that okay, let's face that, and let's not start an internecine war at the one place of solace for any of us, maybe for Gabby too. Like, come on, man.
And you know what? Too, I think that there are solutions to this. Before I get to that, though, I just want to ask supporters out there too, or state this, because I think that is progressive and is left leaning as supporters may want to think that they actually are. Keep in mind that if you go after Gabby for this and say that you are successful in getting her thrown off the club, or making a public statement, keep in mind that a precedent is then set, because you know what? For as much as people are going after Gabby for something that somebody else has said, I have yet to see the same type of sleuthing directed towards the men's team. Because you know what? I mean, a couple of seasons ago, we had a player, and I'm not going to name names, who was openly putting on his Instagram stories how he attended a Jordan Peterson lecture here in Detroit before the season started. And the only thing that I heard from people, supporters, about that particular incident, and I'm not saying anybody here, but other people, was, why isn't this guy playing more? What does Trevor have against this guy? We're not scoring any goals. How come he's not playing? We want to see more of this guy. And then I'm seeing other stuff too about, invoking, their husbands and their parents and siblings and whatever, they have shitty views. We have to stop fascism where it's at. And I totally agree. But
look, you're not going to stop it through social media. You're not going to stop it. You're not going to stop it without any fucking physical risk to yourself. You're going to stop it in the streets by putting yourself at risk. That's the only way this is going to turn around, guys. Like,
but are we really,
we're not going to argue our way out of this now.
are we also really going to start digging into every single person's that plays for this club's personal life, trying to find out if their dad voted for Donald Trump or their mom voted for
Here's a scenario that I think lays out the inherent misogyny of some of this conversation, which is that if a men's player had a wife who was vocally like kind of crazy pro-Trump, like wore Trump shit to matches and was like all about Trump, and the player was really quiet about it and didn't say anything, there is zero chance that there would be calls for that player to be removed because be like, oh, she's crazy, right? Crazy woman, right? But now Gabby, she can't have a mind of her own. Like her views are, she really is just a second vote for her husband, right?
Yep.
Okay, I do understand that that's the thing the cult she's in really gets into, but that doesn't mean she's doing it. Like, I'm sure they don't want her playing matches in front of unbelievers wearing a rainbow badge, used to be the symbol of God's covenant with man, and now it's a symbol of man's covenant with man. Man. So I could do this all day. Like, really, I could go be a street preacher. I grew up in this shit. So just know, that's. I think that scenario is true. I think that if what's her ass? I just forgot her name. The hand job chick from Colorado.
Lauren Boebert.
Boebert. If Lauren,
I like how it's the hand job for Colorado. It's Lauren Boebert.
Yeah, well, I mean, she has not introduced or forwarded any legislation in her years in Congress. Like, she's done nothing except like be an embarrassment in public and like,
and now maybe dating Kid Rock.
Yeah. Oh man. Like it's idiocracy. Anyway, what was I lost the train of what I was saying. Shit. Oh well.
I just want to say that I think that there is a better solution to all of this. I know some of our friends on Discord were talking about this too. But I do think that supporters need to be more vocal about this. I don't think they need to start calling out Gabby. But
I mean, look,
if a
group wants to chant at Gabby or say, come talk to us or whatever, like if they want to try to engage with her, she can choose whether to engage with them or not, right?
Absolutely.
And I think we can draw conclusions from the manner in which she does that. Like, like Gabby knows she's being watched, right? She's not an idiot.
Yeah.
And she knows exactly, like, trust me, when you grew up in that environment, like you really know the symbols that the world is using sort of against you as they think about it. All of the things on the fence line, there's been all these things that could probably just do sermons on the fence line. Like, oh my God. Like, so she's not an idiot. Like she knows what we're about. And she's chosen to associate with us continually. Now, like the Manchurian Candidate relied on their identity being unknown. If she's being sent in as a spy, it's the worst op of all time. Like, right, we're all just staring at her every moment she's here, and like she's had to completely like kind of like pull a shroud over her private life in order to just keep playing. Yeah. So like I just don't see the. I don't know. I guess I've beaten this into the ground. I don't see it. I don't see how you could do it. And I think it's ethically pretty icky.
I'm tired of the social media bitching about this on Reddit and on Facebook. If you're actually concerned about this, which I'm not saying nobody isn't, but start taking more action about it.
So with that, highly recommend, if you haven't checked out Sean's piece from earlier today, Words About Shapes. Highly recommend that. Check it out there. I believe you did this as a drop it for everybody to check out. This is a free edition, correct?
Is it? I don't remember, honestly.
Or is it?
Wait, I signed up. I re-signed up, and it's free.
Or is it one that for subscribers? I don't know. It's been
no, it was subscribers. It was subscribers.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
So Adam,
you
still have
at like
to
2 a.m. I was so tired. I don't really remember.
No, I already signed up. It went through and everything, and I re-signed up. So,
Woo!
Sean now has my $3.
Yeah, baby.
So,
or like less the. I don't. How much do they take out? Let's see. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, it's probably maybe like $2.50.
Right. It's basically that. Yeah.
So we have 3 so highly recommend that piece. Highly recommend checking it out. Words About Shapes, $3 a month. Home finale for MASL W, March 1st. 2 matches left in the regular season. After that, March 8th, Kalamazoo United. March 15th at Indiana. And then, yeah, we'll talk about the tournament at the end of March in Iowa. So
we'll be back next week to ramble for, possibly 12 to 15 hours about the men's preview.
Which the previous file right now is processing.
We still have it.
110 minutes left.
Jesus. Is it going through Handbrake or is it doing processing right now?
Well, I actually think it is. Hold on a second. It might be.
No.
It might be up already. It might be up already. But only under standard definition. It's already up on. It's already up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so you can go and listen to it there. But
okay.
As far as it goes, as far as YouTube goes, that is still a work in progress right now because it is currently.
It's a big one.
It is. It's a big file. It
makes you feel for like H Bomber guy putting up those 4 hour and 50-minute videos. Like holy shit, that thing must have been grinding away for like days in the background. Like, please don't.
Yes. So it's an hour and 10 minutes for standard definition for the upload still remaining, and then an hour and 50 minutes for the HD version of that.
Okay.
So it's coming, people. It's coming. Woo! If you're.
All right, let's all go to bed.
Yeah, Sean, where can folks find you? Socials in addition to Words About Shapes.
I am shield shaping on everything. It's from Beowulf. Look it up. Thank you.
Adam.
TMSNX Adam on Twitter. I will never call it X. And Blue Sky and Instagram and all those areas too.
Oh, Blue Sky. Yeah, I forgot about that.
GM comments, everything. Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Discord. So
sorry.
Home finale for the women, Saturday, March 1st, 7:30 p.m. Connecting with the Northern Guard supporters, Kill the Keg. That is
match is sold out.
Yeah, place is going to be sold out. Place is going to be packed. It's going to be a fun time. For the home finale, get to see Detroit City potentially go to 8-0 ahead of the final 2 regular season games. So, for Sean, for Adam, for Garrett here, thanks for checking out another edition of City Make Spence. Look forward to early next week, and talk about the men's preview. Until next time, see you.
See ya.